Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravana Chari Yamuna Tiravana Chari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girvaradhari Gopi Janavallabha Girvaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Rangana Yashodanandana Brajajana Rangana Yashodanandana Brajajana Rangana Yamuna Tiravana Chari Yamuna Tiravana Chari Put it up there. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopidana Vallabha Girvaradhari Gopidana Vallabha Girvaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vṛṣṇi-bhojeṣv Paramahamsa Paripārājika Sutara Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jayam Vṛṣṇi-bhojeṣv Paramahamsa Paripārājika Sutara Srimad His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Nama Charishal Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Se Sikha Se Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Se Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki Sri Vrindavan Dham ki Navadvip Mayapurdam ki Ganga Mai ki Yamuna Mai ki Bhakti Devi ki Tulsi Devi ki Hari Naam Sankirtan ki Brihat Mridanga ki Samma Veda Bhakta Vrinda ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. Glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. Glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. Glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishnaprasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschitari Satarine. Oh! Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance. My spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Srila Prabhupada ki. Hare Krishna. Today we're looking at Canto 3, Chapter 4. Vidura approaches Maitreya. And it's text 28, which we have up there, I guess. Okay. Hare Krishna. Rājovāca nidhanam upagateṣu vṛṣṇi-bhojeṣu adhiratha-yūthapa-yūthapeṣu mukhyaḥ satu katham avaśiṣṭa uddhavo yad dharir api tatyaja ākṛtiṁ tryadhīśaḥ. Someone else? Hare Krishna. Rājovāca vṛṣṇi-bhojeṣv adhiratha-yūthapa-yūthapeṣu mukhyaḥ satu katham avaśiṣṭa uddhavo yad dharir api tatyaja ākṛtiṁ tryadhīśaḥ. Rājovāca nidhanam upagateṣu vṛṣṇi-bhojeṣu adhiratha-yūthapa-yūthapeṣu mukhyaḥ katham avaśiṣṭa uddhavo yad Matajis, Vaishnavis. Rājovāca nam upagateṣu vṛṣṇi-bhojeṣu adhiratha-yūthapa-yūthapeṣu mukhyaḥ Satu katham avaśiṣṭa uddhavo yad. Dharir ākṛtiṁ tryadhīśaḥ. One more person. Rājovāca. Upagateṣu vṛṣṇi-bhojeṣu. adhiratha-yūthapa-yūthapeṣu mukhyaḥ. Satu katham avaśiṣṭa uddhavo yad. Thank you very much. Rājā uvāca. The king inquired. Nidhanam. Destruction. Upagateṣu. Having overtaken. Vṛṣṇi of the vṛṣṇi dynasty. Bhojeṣu, the Bhoja dynasty. Adhiratha, great commander. yūtha-pa, commander-in-chief. yūtha-peṣu, amongst them. mukhyaḥ, prominence. Saha, he. Two, only. Katham, how. avaśiṣṭa, remained. Uddhavaḥ, Uddhava, yet, whereas. hariḥ, the personality of Godhead. Api, also. tatyaja, finished. ākṛtiṁ, complete pastimes. Tri-adhīśaḥ, the Lord of the three worlds. And here's the translation. The king inquired, at the end of the pastimes of the Lord of the three worlds, Sri Krishna, and after the disappearance of the members of the vṛṣṇi and Bhoja dynasties, who were the best men of the great commanders, why did Uddhava alone remain? So please repeat. The king inquired. At the end of the pastimes of the Lord of the three worlds, Sri Krishna, and after the disappearance of the members of the vṛṣṇi and Bhoja dynasties, who were the best of the great commanders, why did Uddhava alone remain? And purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktimarga Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki. According to Sri Jiva Goswami, nidhanam means the transcendental abode of the Lord. Ni means the highest, and dhanam means opulence. And because the abode of the Lord is the highest manifestation of transcendental opulence, his abode can therefore be called nidhanam. Apart from the grammatical elucidation, the real purpose of the word nidhanam is to indicate that all the members of the vṛṣṇi and Bhoja dynasties were direct associates of the Lord. And after the end of his past times, all the associates were dispatched to their respective positions in the transcendental abode. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur elucidates the meaning of ākṛtiṁ as pastimes. A means complete, and kritim means transcendental past times. Since the Lord is identical with his transcendental body, there is no question of his changing or quitting his body to act in accordance with the rules and customs of the material world, the Lord seems to take his birth or leave his body. But the pure devotees of the Lord know well the actual fact. It is necessary, therefore, the serious students of Srimad Bhagavatam to follow the notes and comments of the great acharyas like Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti. To others who are not devotees of the Lord, the comments and explanations of such acharyas may appear to be grammatical jugglery. But to the students who are in the line of disciplic succession, the explanations of the great acharyas are quite fit. The word upagateṣu is also significant. All the members of vṛṣṇi and Bhoja directly reached the abode of the Lord. Other devotees do not reach the abode of the Lord directly. But the pure associates of the Lord have no attraction for the opulence of any planets of the material world. Sometimes, due to inquisitiveness, devotees who are to be promoted to the abode of the Lord have some attraction for the opulence of the higher material planets above Earth, and thus they desire to see them while going up to the perfection. But the vṛṣṇis and Bhojas were directly dispatched because they had no attraction for material planets. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also suggests that according to the Amarakosha dictionary, ākṛtiṁ also means signal. Lord Krishna ordered Uddhava by signal to go to Badrik ashram after his departure, and Uddhava, as a pure devotee of the Lord, carried out the more faithfully than going back to Godhead. I didn't write this. Or the abode of the Lord. That was the cause of his remaining alone, even after the departure of the Lord from the face of the... Thank you very much, hariḥ. I would just like to take the moment to dedicate this class to Bhadir Swami, who was supposed to deliver it today, but he's not well. So Maharaj, if you're hearing this, this is for you. I hope you get better. I always enjoy his classes very much. He's like a stand-up comedian. All right, so I also like to take the opportunity to thank all of you who have supported our creative endeavor with the drama this year, The Age of Kali, and to give support to devotees that came from overseas to put this on this little masterpiece. And it's a masterpiece only because it was written by great devotees. Prabhupada liked it. And we all work together like a team. So thank you very much, everybody. We're performing again tonight, tomorrow, and the last day is on the 12th, and that's at 6:30, doors open. So I just had to do my little commercial break. All right, okay. Had to. Okay. All right, so let's go to the verse again. The king inquired, at the end of the pastimes of the Lord of the three worlds, Sri Krishna, And after the disappearance of the members of the vṛṣṇi and Bhoja dynasties, who were the best of the great commanders, why did Uddhava alone remain? Jack. So in this particular chapter, there's a lot of beautiful images. Just to start off, Vidura and Maitreya, two great sages. Just picture the imagery. They're probably sitting under a tree. They're having these beautiful discussions, philosophical and also non-philosophical, more to do with lila. And as Krishna indicates in the Bhagavad Gita, that that's what makes devotees happy, you know. Machchita mutkata prana bodhiyanta parasparam katyantas chimang nityang tushanti cha ramanti cha. Tushanti and ramanti indicate that there's joy, satisfaction, talking about Krishna or repeating what he has said. There's those two kinds of kathas that Prabhupada speaks about Krishna and what he has actually directly said. So that's what devotees enjoy doing. And when we're less of a devotee, I guess we gossip, right? And that's very common. Of course, not in the Holy Dham here. We don't gossip, right? I'm being a little, sarcastic here. But it was Guru Das, one of the early disciples of Prabhupada from New York, and served Prabhupada in the West Coast in the U.S. And he was explaining to Prabhupada what it would be like in the future, that there's going to be mass communication amongst people by the use of computers. And Guru Das asked Prabhupada, do you think it'll be a good idea for devotees to communicate like that? And you know what his answer was? They will gossip. Yeah. All right. So getting away from gossip, what counters the ill effects of Kali Yuga in the form of gossiping is that we speak about the pastimes of the Lord. And so we come together every day for a Bhagavatam class, and we zero in on a verse, and it could be philosophical. It depends on which segment of the Bhagavatam you're on. There are those segments where it gets highly technical and says, oh my God, let me go through a few verses and then hopefully hit a juicy purport. Or you get into those genealogical tables. Oh my God, so-and-so gave birth to so-and-so, and then so-and-so got married to so-and-so, and they had so-and-so and so-and-so. Okay, and we may ask, what's the relevance behind this? Well, I'd say on the first note, when we talk about technical things, like say, for instance, the astrological or astronomical makeup of the world, it should humble us. It says, oh my God, how technical the books get. And these are texts that came from a long time ago and not from the 20th or 21st century. There were great-minded people long ago. And when you look at some of the things that siddhantas or conclusions they've arrived at, you can say they're very spot on, oftentimes with what people are saying now in the scientific community. So all glories to the great sadhus of the past and the acharyas. And then when it comes to looking at some of the genealogical tables and, who came from who and who gave birth and how many babies there are and so on like that, how many generations ago, I guess it would indicate that family is important. It's good to take note of who they are. In my personal family, we've got like a family tree that takes you back to the time of Chaitanya. No connection, because my parents came from Europe, and during the Renaissance period. And in the meantime, in India, there was another Renaissance going on with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But anyways, I think it's quite extraordinary. These folks have kept for 500 years our family tree. I don't know. Does that sound familiar? Do you have that kind of experience? Anybody? No? We don't keep track of these kind of things. They're not so important to us, right? What's really important is how much sense gratification can I get out of this world? Yep. That's part of the pop culture. I think I told you this maybe last year. When I was walking across the U.S., I came to Utah, and that was my favorite state of all the 14 states that I walked across. Just the people are nice and spacious, and there's a lot of, the Mormons have always been good to the Hare Krishna devotees. And so I was getting a lot of attention on the media through radio interviews. So there were 2 radio stations in this one particular town. I can't remember the name of it. But so I was interviewed, and it was really good. They had a lot of good questions. It was a woman who was the anchor person, and she asked a lot of great questions. And even between songs, like it didn't go in between 2 songs, but several spread of songs. So it was really good. It was lengthy. And so that went well. And then the next day, I had an appointment for an interview at another radio station, just to talk about the walk and why pilgrimage is important, and we need some time to ourselves. We need to get out into nature and try to see God, try to see the bigger picture, all those things. So it was Jennifer who was on this second radio station. And Jennifer, I brought her a hard copy of Bhagavad Gita. I said, "Oh, I think I have that book." And I said, "Well, that's great. Have you read it yet?" "No, but now I think I will now that I've met you." So then we kept talking, and I asked her, so I was on the other radio station yesterday, and they play country music, right? And so what kind of music do you play here? And she said, we play pop music. I said, "Oh, pop. Pop. And Sanskrit means sin." So then what I said, then she said, "Oh, Swami, put in your headphones. We're on the air now." So anyways, we have somebody very interesting here. He's known as the Walking Monk, and he's walking across the U.S. from Boston to San Francisco. And he's with us here today, right at the studio. And we had a nice conversation, and we were talking about the language Sanskrit. So did I say that right, Swami? I said, "Yeah, that was perfect." I said, and he asked me what kind of music we play on this station. And I said, "We play pop music." And he said that in Sanskrit, the word means sin. And that's why we have the Walking Monk here, to deal with our sins. Yes. So, getting back to walking, we have great walkers in our tradition. And, some of the people here, of course, are described here. Let's go back to some of the images as well. We're looking at Maitreya Muni and Vidura, and Uddhava comes into the picture. And then there's also the image of Krishna sitting under a banyan tree by the Saraswati River, I believe. And he took a sip. How strong is that image, right? Krishna sitting by himself, taking a sip of water. Because we know that he usually has a lot of people around him. Wherever he goes, he's got a lot of fans. Everybody's out there to see him. But that's a strong image. We also have the image of the way that he sits. He's known to be sitting on some rock or something. And then he takes his right leg and he rests it on the left thigh. You'll never find Krishna being straight. Maybe that sounds strange. Just like last night when we announced, okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the age of Kali. It didn't sound right. Okay, so Krishna has this beautiful, ability to take a stature and to take a position. And it's usually very curved and bendy and beautiful, right? And he distributes the weight quite well. He puts out his arms like this. So part of him is out here, part of him is out there, and the hip goes out like this. And he's got his right leg crossing over the left leg by the feet. And it's actually a beautiful curvature of the Lord. And that's the way Krishna is with his stance. When we look at images of Vishnu, his approach is a little different. He usually stands very stout, strong, and very straight. and it invokes a kind of reverence, isn't it? Right? And when you see an image of Buddha, usually he's sitting like in the lotus position, like actually you're all Buddhas right now, and it's quite symmetrical, unless if you're at that period of the class where, but otherwise, like here's a good specimen right there. Prabhu, look at the way it's beautiful. Take an example of the Buddha-like boy over here. And it's very beautiful, symmetrical. And Prabhupada explained once that symmetry is beauty. If you have that, you're going to build a temple. It's nice to have, everything that's kind of equal, whatever's on this side and that side. I'm a Libran, so I just go bonkers. I go crazy when I see they put a vase of flowers on the left side of Prabhupada, but not on the right. I said, how could that be? How is it possible, But it is like that. So that's the beauty of Krishna. Krishna is very curvy, and I heard one man talk about Krishna once, and he said, Krishna is crooked. He said, that also didn't sound right. And another thing that doesn't sound right is that the death of Krishna. Before devotees from ISKCON were translating the Mahabharata, I had a copy from one scholar, and one chapter in the Mahabharata said, the death of Krishna. I said, oh, yeah. It didn't seem right. There could be better terminology like, the disappearance of Krishna or the departure of Krishna, something a little more, just with a little more class to it. So that wasn't happening in this particular rendition. So, people might criticize Krishna. It's true. They can, because, he would encourage white lies, we say sometimes to Yudhishthira Maharaj, and things like that, and like to strike below the belt, literally, against Duryodhana with the club when he was speaking to Bhishma Dev. And, I'm sorry, Bhima, sorry, take the S out. And so that, but generally Krishna's very straight, the Bhagavad Gita is a very straight and direct message coming from the Lord. Nothing light in there, all very grave, all very serious, what he has to say, from chapter, the end of chapter 1 to right to chapter 18. It's all just straight philosophy. Let's get on with life. Let's get on with what needs to be done. Know your dharma, know your duty, know your prescribed duty in life. What's your role in society? Contribute something. Not contributing, especially when in need, that's bad karma. In fact, Arjuna was thinking about it like that. Maybe I'll just pull out this time around. But when the Kurukshetra war had come out, Arjuna had been involved and engaged in many battles already. There were many. This was not new. But we don't have an account where he really just kind of cowered and said, I can't do it today. So Krishna was just reminding him, you are who you are. You are a Kshatriya. You have a responsibility. You have a duty. And that's really what Krishna consciousness is very much about. What's our duty? What's our responsibility? We have many obligations to Guru. And not just one Guru, because there are many Gurus in our society. There's many sadhus, and there's many mothers, and there's many fathers, and there's always more people around that know more than you think. That's called humility, isn't it? I can learn, something from this little chap over here. Something that, he knows something's better than I know. I remember being very inspired. One of the reasons why I went to long distance walking, it was a winter day in downtown Toronto, and I walked to the bus station to greet my godbrother, Bhaktimarga Swami, who took an all-night bus ride. And it was winter, and there was snow. There were like mounds of snow. And there were these people near the bus station that there were already homeless elements happening at that time. Talk about 15, 20 years ago. And they were in their sleeping bag, those real durable types. And I was chanting japa because I got there a little early before the bus arrived for Maharaj. And I thought, oh my God, I envy them. They're able to live in these simple circumstances, they probably have nothing. They just have a sleeping bag, maybe something to eat inside. And they seemed to have a good sleep. A good sleep. I don't get very good sleep, to be honest with you. I'm an insomniac. I don't get enough sleep. I guess maybe it's the worries for the world and so on, like so much anxiety, taking on so much. But anyways, I looked at these people. Well, I didn't look at the people because they were in their sleeping bags. But I felt, wow, I think I want to taste a little bit of that. I think I want to go that simple route for a stretch. Let me just try it out. Because in ISKCON, everywhere you go, there's food. Especially when you're a sannyasi. There's a plate of food coming here and there. And when you have a thali in front of you, there's like 25 different katoris with different items, each one different. And when I walked Fiji, I think they have the most advanced cuisine in the world. They have so many sabjis that you don't get in India, or I haven't seen. So they'll bring you one thali, the hosts of the house program, one thali with several katoris of prasadam on it. But that's the first thali. And then there's another thali. And it just keeps going. And they just keep coming. Once you empty one katori, they'll come up with another one and just distract you a little bit and then just throw it down over your, And I asked Kadamba Kanana Maharaj, I said, how do you deal with that? When you go to house programs and there's so much food and, and it's so good and you really don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. They insist you must taste everything, right? And I said, well, just bring lots of disciples. That was his answer. Yeah. So, I developed this little plate language, Once the katori is finished, you turn it upside down. And the other one upside down, and upside down, upside down. Sometimes you have to shield your body. No. And even the plate and the fork, the fork or the spoon, you have to turn them upside down too. And if that doesn't work, they'll say, you must have sweets, Swamiji. You must have sweets. And if they get sometimes things get under my nerve, under my skin. And I said, Swamiji, you must have some sweet. We cooked it for you. And I'll just be kind of direct. My mother died from diabetes, and it's hereditary. So then they back off. Yeah. So just going back to our verse here today. First of all, the topic is very unpalatable because we're hearing about the people we adore, the families that we honor, and they decided to get drunk, basically. Have a beverage made from fermented rice water and just have it out with each other. And it's not something that you would expect. You would expect to have a happy ending to the end of this dynasty, Krishna's family. You would expect that. Like, let's say if I say to you, why don't we talk about Krishna's death? Why don't we talk about that moment when Jira released an arrow and it hit Krishna's lotus foot? Why don't we celebrate that? I don't know anybody who celebrates that. We celebrate the Janmashtami. It's just very, very, let's say, unpalatable, to talk about it, to think about it. And of course, Prabhupada and the Acharyas have their explanation on how it was Krishna's will, it was his way of putting together an interesting drama. Krishna's the greatest dramatist, really, and a way of ending things. So it created some bereavement for many of the people at this, contemporaries of the time, like Uddhava, and it was suggested and recommended to him by the Supreme Lord, why don't you go up to Badrika Ashram? And has anybody been there before, Badrika Ashram? I haven't. But anybody been there? Badrika Ashram? Okay. Yeah, that's not too many people. Shame on us, right? It's supposed to be one of the most sacred places in the world. Badrika Ashram up north. And in the south, it's Rameshwaram. On the east, it's Jagannath Puri. And on the west, it's Dwarka, isn't it? How many people have been to Dwarka? I haven't. How many people have been to Jagannath Puri? How many people have been to Badrika Ashram? I'll ask again. Okay, same people. Yeah, with some consistency here. What about Rameshwaram? I've been there. Yahoo. Okay. Four sacred places. We're recommended to go and spend time there because there's great people there. It's peaceful. Likely you'll find someone giving a great class. There will be great katha, great discussions. That's the real juice of a holy place. It's not just to go and take a bath in the holy river. More important is to hear something sacred. That's another way of taking a bath. There's many different types of baths. And one of the best baths is to walk through a forest. They call it a forest bath. Have you heard that before? Go through the forest, you see the birds, and you hear them, and you see other things going on, the dynamics and the smells. It's pretty amazing. Yesterday we went through the forest by the elephants, and there were these birds up on sort of like a wire. They were perched there. And I was with a bunch of devotees. We were walking, said, please don't do anything on us. And then about 3 hours later, I was standing under a big tree in another forest, and a bird dropped his mercy. So anyways, there's lots of experiences, and I wouldn't call that the best part of the bath. But forest bath, water bath, let's say wind bath, right? You get sunbathing. What else? How about people bath? How about in a sacred place like this, you're always taking a bath, fighting the crowds, right? And they're all these holy people, except for the ones that, you get the pickpockets, right? So it's a bathing experience, a cleansing experience. That's really what it's all about. That's what Uddhava had experienced, and he was taking the direct order from Krishna. That's where to go. Are there anybody in this room that was directly told by Prabhupada, given certain orders, where to stay, where to do devotional service? Yes? Could you share that with us? You're lucky. Isn't he lucky? Of course, there's no such thing as luck, but let's hear it anyways.
A lucky coincidence. Not luck, fortune. It was decided in, 1971, late 71, that I would go with, Prabhupada decided I would go with Rishi Kumar Swami to South Africa to open a temple.
Right.
So we came to the Mayapur festival, and Prabhupada laid the cornerstone. And then on March 2nd, 1972, I went into Prabhupada's room and I said, Prabhupada, I'm going to Africa now. I hope this gives me an opportunity to increase my service to you. And Prabhupada put his hands behind his head and said, service to Lord Chaitanya, service to Lord Chaitanya, service to Lord Chaitanya. And then the Swami left pretty soon after I was there, so I was there 6 months alone.
Oh, wow. Well, that's great that
it was
you were
tough being in such bad association, but I was the top books distributor there when I was there alone.
That's very nice to hear from you. Is there anybody else who was given a direct order by Prabhupada to go somewhere or to do a specific service? I'm sort of like shooting out in that direction there. Rameshwar, would that be something you could share with us? Please.
Maharaj, you're so dramatic.
Yeah.
Srila Prabhupada told me, when it comes to transcendental book publishing and transcendental book distribution, he gave me the greatest order. He said, think globally, not locally. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. That definitely gives us something to meditate on. Naturally, leaders who are in a certain locality doing service, they have their favorite deity, which is where they are. They're attached to their family. There's a case for, just Prabhudatta Desh, being a servant of your locality, and think a little bit zonally. But yeah, you have to take it a step further and go really beyond. Think for the world, the best thing. Ramesh Harper, should we think about other planets as well? We haven't seen anybody else there yet.
It's funny that I was talking about that this morning with His Holiness Radhanath Swami. When Prabhupada was describing to me some future events on this earth for the revival of a pure Vedic culture, almost like a Satya type yuga within this 10,000 year golden age. So I asked Srila Prabhupada, will there be mantra airplanes? I just asked him that. And he leaned back and said, yes, why not? And so over the years I've thought about what is the purpose of those airplanes, and it finally dawned on me that this Sankirtan Yajna is not just for the earth. Those mantra airplanes could travel to all other planets, carrying Sankirtan devotees to perform Sankirtan Yajna throughout the universe.
Those are big dreams, and why not? Why not? Thank you so much for sharing. Is there anybody else who was given a specific order by Prabhupada as to where to go or what to do? Yeah. We got somebody else? Oh, Malati. Oh my God, there will be no end. We'll be here for 2 hours or so or more. Please share. We got a gopher right behind you. Your microphone is right there.
Hare Krishna. So happened, I was in Jaipur with Srimati, and we had just completed the service of purchasing the deities that ended up in Toronto, Detroit, and Dallas. And we were leaving. We had our tickets on the train. And there was a knock on the door, and there was a Western Union. In those days they had telegrams, so we had a yellow telegram. Bring deities large, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So I understood large meant 39 to 42 inches, but we were leaving. So I told Srimati, you go, and I'll stay. My daughter was with me. And, it's like when you're going for deities, you don't just, there's so many shops and so many deities, but, you want those special deities. So it's not always instantaneous. But somehow, by the desire of Srila Prabhupada, I was able to instantaneously find these beautiful deities who presided over the second Bombay Pandal and are now in Chicago, Kishore Kishori.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
He liked those deities so much that when they were brought he was in Bombay at the time at an apartment in a very nice complex, Seaface Park. So he asked the deities to be brought into his room and put right in front of his desk. And then he said to me, "Hold out your hand." And he took a ring off his finger and he dropped it in my hand.
Thank you. What can I say? Was there anybody else here in the room that got some special mercy from Prabhupada? Mahatma, you must have, come on, speak up.
Special mercy, well, I was traveling from San Diego, California to Alaska, inspiring devotees to distribute books in 1976. So I wrote Prabhupada just to tell him what I was doing. And he said, "Keep enthusing the devotees to preach, and you will become enthused if you enthuse others." So I've always found that despite my disqualification, if I just try to be enthusiastic and enthuse others, then everything seems to go well. There's a more instructive, I think, interestingly instructive pastime, a little bit embarrassing, but when I was 23, I was married and frustrated, and I wrote Srila Prabhupada asking if I could take sannyas, as many young men did at the time. Prabhupada said something interesting. He said, first you become responsible as a householder. And then after that, we will consider sannyas. I don't want to give sannyas to young men who are irresponsible. I think at that point I was the incarnation of irresponsible. I was the irresponsible avatar. So Prabhupada nailed me, and it was really, if you think about it, it's a really good instruction, because every ashram requires tolerance of whatever difficulties exist in the ashram. And so you tolerate and take responsibility and do the ashram correctly, and then you'll be qualified for the next ashram. Hare Krishna.
Beautiful. Do we have anybody else who had an experience with Prabhupada along the lines with what was just being presented? I'm so glad it turned into an interactive presentation. It's the way to do it, right? People stay awake. Anybody else? Okay, so then, Mahamaya, do you have any directions? Jai.
When I first joined the movement in Boston, ISKCON Press was there, and when they found out I could type, I pretty soon was composing. I learned how to compose. It means typesetting before computers. And Prabhupada wrote a letter saying, "Tell the composers to slow down," because we were making so many mistakes. And it's an embarrassing instruction, but that was what he wrote. Tell the composer to slow down. We were making too many mistakes.
Wow, thank you. Haribo. Anybody else that has something to share? When the ISKCON Press started, Mahamaya Mataji was there. Okay, we've got 2 minutes left. Can I share with you just a poem that I wrote? It's about gossip. Is that okay? All right, because we touched on it. All right, so I call this loose-tongued monster. Gossip is the cowardly, unofficial occupation of a jerk. Volunteers are either on part or full-time work. Call it a toxic tongue, a plague worse than a pandemic, a dirty and dark behind-the-back dynamic, a casual chat where the truth is not confirmed, a devil's radio broadcasting nothing to be learned. Gossipy people have nothing of substance to say. Fabrications from their mouth are always on display. It's a syndrome, a condition of verbal diarrhea. They are rumor addicts like alcoholics on tequila. Do take note that those who gossip to you will inevitably and eventually gossip about you. And those who know so little about you suddenly become authority, having all the goods on you. Perhaps the greatest human offender is the gossiper, though feeling their contribution has the status of a philosopher. Little do they know that gossip, a lethal weapon, will act karmically as if to beckon, like a boomerang that's suddenly released and comes back to haunt and strike like a beast. So stay away from this backstabbing game. Stay away from fault finders who bear no shame. Stay away from loose-tongued monsters of derision, and hold hands with folks who have some vision. A superior investment to being critical is to point out the good in an individual. Don't let that big, fat mouth try to obstruct two good listening ears poised to reconstruct. Any hope for a rumor monger perhaps is our deep prayer, a call for a miracle, compassion, and help on a major repair. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, and it's time. Hare Krishna. Krishna says, time I am. He says, of subduers, I am time. And he says, time I am, destroyer of the worlds. Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanang bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Please come to see our drama tonight, 6:30.
Hare Krishna.